This video will explain what our Action Research Group has learned about how to build student awareness of non-academic traits.
In order to develop a non-academic trait, students need to be taught how to think about these traits. They need to know what the trait means, to understand how to apply it, and to reflect on their own thinking about the trait. Otherwise, they cannot consciously apply the trait or change their own behaviour. In students' minds, this might lead to the following questions.
What is it?
My teacher keeps talking about this thing called resilience, but I don't know what it is.
How do I do it?
I know what resilience is, but I need opportunities to practice it.
How do I think about it?
I know I can be resilient, but I need to know when, why, and how I act resiliently.
Let's break it down.
If a student doesn't understand what a trait looks like, sounds like, and feels like, they're not going to be able to internalise it. A lack of cognitive understanding limits a student's ability to change their behaviour. Seema Campbell from Teach for India teaches 3 to 4-year-olds in Mumbai. Deepika is one of her students who comes to school every day even though she lives on the streets and sometimes does not eat. Deepika also cares for her elder brothers and teaches them what she has learned at school. Seema has recognised this as independent behaviour and wanted to help Deepika bring that independence into the classroom. She focused on building routines and procedures to help support independent behaviour. However, Deepika was only responding to situations, not making active, informed choices to change her own behaviour. According to Seema, a final push into consistent and conscious independent behaviour only came when Deepika got the opportunity to understand and reflect on what independence means and means to her specifically. My name is Bridget Rogan and I teach in a remote community in the Northern Territory in Australia. In attempting to develop my students' independence, I found that unless there was an immediate and unambiguous purpose for students behind a task, they would complete it with the sole aim of pleasing the teacher and receiving praise. This taught me that students need to have a clear idea of why you're trying to get them to change their behaviour. If they don't have this knowledge, there won't be a long-term change.
So what next? Students know what resilience is, but how do they become more resilient?
Students need to be given the chance to practice these skills. When students are given explicit instruction and repeated opportunities to develop the trait, they experience success.
And finally,
students need to deepen their understanding of the trait and figure out what it means for them in order to change a behaviour. When students ask, "How do I think about this?" it leads to more thoughtful action.
Elisa from Spain asked her students,
What does resilience look like to you? In which areas of your life are you most resilient? Why? How can you change your behaviour to become more resilient?
Students then asked themselves,
Am I being resilient? How do I behave? Why do I behave that way? How will I progress? What can I do better next time?
These reflections help influence behavior. My name is Judith. I'm from Germany. My students were positively influenced by the chance to reflect on the concept of growth mindset. After the mindset project, one of my students said, I realized for the first time that I had a very fixed mindset and I probably will be more successful at school and in general if I change my way of thinking into a growth mindset. I can!
Ultimately, students must start the process of growing non-academically by knowing what the trait means, understanding how to apply the trait, and reflecting on their own thinking about it.
Is that enough?
No. Teachers must further develop non-academic traits with focused data collection and progress monitoring, as well as giving quality student assignments.